What's up guys, we are back again and today we'll be looking at how to throw playing cards. Take a look at what you should be able to do once you watch this video. You have to chop up playing cards. You'll be able to chop up fruit, bananas, carrots, all that stuff, apples. So in this video we will be looking at the mechanics of how to throw the playing card, the best grip for how to throw the playing card, look at having to throw for precision, force and distance because they are slightly different and you'll cater your technique to do that. We will also be looking at what the best playing cards to use for throwing playing cards are, because there are a wide variety of playing cards out there, some specifically designed for throwing while others are just for playing, but which one's actually better, which is what we're going to discuss. I'm going to go through some tests, so we actually test it out in front of you guys. We're also going to look at what the best material is for a playing card target, because I think that is it's something I personally spent a long time trying to find out, is just trying to get the right material to actually throw playing cards at, because certain materials it doesn't stick well, it's more difficult, and so we're going to go through that, and I hope you enjoy, and let's get into the technique. In terms of mechanics on how to hold the cards, so get your dominant hand, so this is my right hand, and what you want to do is you want to just clip the corner which is here, so it will be the corner where the pips are in, top left. Again, if you just turn it around, it's the same corner, and you just want to clip that between the two joints here, roughly where this connection of the fingers is. So just hold that like that, and then just rest your thumb on the top. So that's the basic grip. It's as simple as that. Then in terms of how to actually throw the card, what you're going to do is rotate your wrist backwards, just like this, and just flick the card forward, extending the fingers and the wrist, and that is the basic motion. That's pretty much it. That's literally all you need to know is that, and you can throw playing cards. You want to just practice first doing it quite gently. So just practice first doing it gently like that. So you also want to kind of experiment with the angle you want to throw this at. So I would test it for yourself to see which one works best for you. I personally found that, weirdly enough, if I throw it vertically and kind of just flick it out, for some reason that works best for me, and it's actually gets on target more. But again, just experiment with the angles. So rotate your hand each time you throw it, and practice in a couple times in those positions to see which one leads to you hitting more on target. So you can just hit a plastic bottle or something to begin with, and we're going to discuss targets later on in this video. To begin with, for precision, you want to just practice flicking the wrist and the fingers out. That will give you optimum precision. And again, just experiment with the angle you start your hand at, because that will affect the direction of the flow. For some reason, vertically seems to work well for me. And you just look along, you kind of point your fingers where you want the card to go. And there you go. So that's how to throw. Throwing for distance is you want to actually throw at 45-degree angle, because that is the optimum angle for throwing anything. So 45-degree angle upwards, so just in the air. If you're inside, then you want to throw at an angle where you're not going to hit the roof, because obviously that will stop it. If you're in a large area, then it's more benefit. You could throw at a 45-degree angle. Stadiums are probably the best kind of area because they have a large height and no wind, because wind will affect the cards as you throw them. If you do throw it outside and it's really windy, it's just going to take the card away because they are not heavy. Throwing for force is the next one. So this is how you actually get it to hit and stick into the targets, or I wouldn't recommend it, but if you do want to cause some damage or hit fruit or cut fruit and stuff, this is what you want to go for. At the same time, cutting fruit is a small target, so you do want to balance between force and precision. So in terms of force, you want to use your entire, and this is for distance as well actually, got to mention, you want to use your entire arm and get as much force between it. So you want to move your entire body, put your arm as far back as you can, and move your entire arm, uncurl it, so you're literally flicking out your entire arm, and you're rotating your body with it to get as much force as you can, and you let the card go, and that is how you get as much force as possible. So in terms of the different decks of playing cards you can use, So the main ones I'm going to go through are, so paper. This is a deck of cards printed by the same company who prints bicycle cards, which are quite a common brand. These are paper based and they're really good for like cardistry and fanning and stuff like that. Next up, so we're going to look at plastic based decks. So this deck of cards, for example, is produced by Murphy's Magic specifically for throwing playing cards. It's even got cutouts in the cards which make it whistle when you throw it. And it's got a target on the back so you can see how far in you get your target. So it's got distance measurements. So you can see how far you get it into your target. Last, we're going to look at these 24 karat gold laminated playing cards. These are surprisingly good for throwing. I think they are plastic based in the middle. They're just really snappy and I don't know why, but they're surprisingly good for throwing playing cards. There's a number of reasons why you actually need to select your playing cards. Is because one, to actually get it into the target. Different playing cards get at different depths into the target and it's easier for some decks to get in there. The second thing is the damage and the amount of, well, how long your card's going to last, because the paper cards, they tend to bend a lot on the edges. You can always bend them back, but it does kind of impact the aerodynamics of the cards if they do get creased too much, if they are at an angle. Plastic cards are good in that way because they just bounce back to their original position. However, plastic playing cards do chip the corners a lot. So that is a problem, particularly with the Banshees, which I experience quite a lot, is the corners do just chip. We're going to go do some tests now. We're going to get a playing card target and throw a couple of times and do a test. So let's get into that. Alright guys, we're back after just doing that little bit of a test. We tested 20 of each of the playing cards, the paper, the ones that are specifically designed for throwing, and the gold ones. In terms of how many stuck, only 2 of the Banshees, the ones which are designed specifically for throwing, actually stuck into the target. There are obviously different factors to consider, but I was trying to throw it as equally as I could between all of them. So only 2 of the Banshees stuck, 1 fell out as I was throwing more at the target. Next, the paper one, we had like 8 to 10 of them stick, so that is a really good result. That speaks for itself. Lastly, we tried the gold foil playing cards, and yeah, none of those stuck. So, I mean, that speaks for itself. So, in terms of which ones are best, in my experience, the paper ones are. With the Banshees, as I discussed earlier, are the fact that they're actually really good because they're specifically designed for it. You have your dedicated deck there for throwing. It's good for just throwing to other people and stuff because it makes a nice whistle sound. They're plastic, they're durable, they bounce back, unlike playing paper ones, which the corners get bent and it loses its aerodynamic stuff over time. But the plastic ones, the Banshees, keep that. However, the corners do chip a lot, which is something seen. If you hit it against a wall, the corners will chip. The gold foil ones, the corners I haven't seen chip. So it depends what you want to kind of go for. If you want durability alone, gold foil ones are best. If you want to actually hit the cards into the target, then you will go for the paper ones. If you want an all-round just fun deck to play with, it's the Banshees. Last thing we're going to talk about is the type of material to throw playing cards into. So what you just saw me using there was foam board. That is the best one I've personally found because foam board is readily available, it's cheap, you get at large sizes, it's pretty good like that. Polystyrene, I found you can get, it's again readily available and cheap, but it's harder to make it stick into polystyrene in my experience. Cardboard, again, it's a bit more difficult to foam board, but again, it's a lot cheaper. You can just whack some drawings on there. Same thing with the foam board, just whack some drawings and like an archery target. There's one last one, insulation board. Insulation board is a very good material. It's nice and thick and it holds the cards really well. It's probably better than foam board in terms of actually the cards sticking into the material. However, it's expensive. You're probably looking at $50 maybe. You can probably get, it depends where you are, but you also, delivery is really expensive, as in right now we can't exactly go pick it up. If you can go pick up some insulation board in your local hardware store, that is good, but it does take up a lot of space, whereas foam board is quite small. One problem with foam board is that you kind of want to leave some air behind it, because when you throw the cards, it will go through the foam board, but if it hits a hard surface at the back, it'll probably bounce back out. So to prevent that, you could layer up multiple layers of foam board or buy thicker foam board. I was using 5mm propped up against a door, so there's loads of air and space behind it, which works well in my experience. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you do have any questions regarding any of the topics covered, playing cards to use, target, methods on how to throw the cards, please do let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.